everyone, and welcome to today's video. In one of my recent videos, I may or may not have mentioned that we had a fire on the property, and I kind of didn't say anything about it after that, and I'm sure you guys have many questions. So today I'm going to do my makeup and answer all those questions for you while I tell you the story of how the kitchen caught on fire. So I'm going to start by applying primer all over my face, and then I'm going to go in and do my eyes first. I want to do a very fitting black smoky eye today. I've honestly been in the mood to do one for so long now. But I do not want to deal with the fallout, so I'm going to do my eyeshadow and then my face makeup. I'm going to take a small pump of this LA Girl matte foundation in the color Natural, and I'm going to blend it on around my eyes so I can blend the eyeshadow and not have to worry about the foundation covering the eyeshadow later. So first, you guys need a little bit of background information as to how we got into the situation in the first place. I'm currently living with the neighbor who is here today.
Yes, I am.
And we are living on his parents' farm. We are in the process of building our own tiny house, and that's a whole other story on its own. But on this farm, the neighbor's parents have a museum and cafe that they own and run themselves. Obviously, there was a decent amount of ups and downs with lockdown and owning a restaurant and being in the tourist industry and all that. So his parents decided that enough is enough, and then they rented out the museum to someone else. So basically, they just hired new management, they still own the place and all that, but someone else is running it entirely. And this person is named Robin. Now, I don't know too much about Robin, but we do see each other a lot because we also stay in the museum. There's kind of like an office that's our bedroom while we are building. It's janky, but it works for the meantime. And now that Robin works here, she was also giving a room on the property, so we did see her a lot in the museum. I'm gonna take some foundation powder to just set everywhere that I just put that foundation. Make sure I have a smooth base to start on. And I'm setting it so that I can blend really well. Anyways, Robin was hired on not too long ago, probably like 2 weeks ago. And she really hit the ground running, let me tell you that. She cleaned the whole place, she revamped the menu, she took over the marketing, and they had people coming in, friends of hers, acquaintances and all that. People were touring the museum, people were eating at the cafe, life was going well. But she wanted to make some changes. She wanted to, I think, clean up the actual museum path, something like that. But she also wanted to build on 2 or 3 bathrooms because she was given a room on the property, but the room doesn't come with a kitchen or a bathroom. So whenever she wants to go to the bathroom, she has to walk all the way to the museum's bathroom on the other side of the museum, and those bathrooms don't have a shower. So if she was going to stay here permanently, she was going to need a bathroom, which that's fair, I understand. She wants to make herself comfortable. Now, to do this, she had a friend come over. His name was Cornay. Yeah, Cornay. And apparently they're just really good friends. And he was willing to come over, stay here for a week, and then build the bathrooms for free. Which, that's great. It's lovely having friends like that. Which, I mean, I also have friends like that. Shout out to TT, who actually helped us build on the tiny house. And Minion. Minion was also here to help a little bbit. So, this guy, Cornay, was here. Lots of new characters, we kind of just kept to ourselves. Uni had just started, there's a lot going on for us. I just started postgrad, and I was trying to figure out what exactly was happening there, so we kind of were just like, hi, bye, stuck to ourselves. Which just, by the way, as cool as it is that there's other people running the museum, it really sucks having to wear a mask every time we leave the room. We were in hard lockdown for a while, so no one was in the museum, so we got to just walk to the kitchen without wearing our masks. And now that there's people again, we have to wear masks again. But anyways, I'm currently coloring in my eyelids with my black pencil liner, so I have a good black base. I'm also going to go and I'm going to tightline my eyes to make sure there's absolutely no color there. I want it all to be black. Already looks so cute. The neighbor's parents also had other people here to build a bird enclosure on the property, something like that. I'm not entirely sure what's happening there. There's a lot of stuff happening on the property.
Well, they were finishing it. They were almost done with it in the beginning of lockdown last year.
Oh, so they're just finishing the project now that we can open up again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And now they're gonna come in and see if the birds can come.
There were a lot of people just moving in and out of the museum, and it wasn't really conducive to us studying. Okay, let me tell you what I'm gonna do with my eyeshadow so I can kind of just keep going while telling you the story, so I don't have to keep pausing the story to tell you what I'm doing. Luckily now we've got all the background information out of the way. We're finally to the events of the day. But with the eyeshadow, I'm gonna blend like a warm tone in my crease and underneath my eye, just so there's like a nice transition shade. Then I'm going to take something a little lighter than that and blend on the edges again to make sure it blends nicely. Then I'm going to go in, smudge this black out to make sure it's smooth before packing the black shadow on top and carefully blending that into my crease. That is the plan with this black smoky eye, which I mean is already a look. So I was here for the day. Again, just because there were so many people at the museum, there was so much movement going on and stuff like that. We had been spending our days here at the parents' house just so we can work in peace and quiet. The neighbor was sitting in the lounge on his computer doing some assignment. I was sitting here because I was done with my work for the most part. I could work again in the evening, but I was really in the mood to film a video, so I set up camp where I am now and I started filming a video. I was filming a blue smoky eye look and I already posted that video, hence today's video. And you can definitely go check that out if you want to. The neighbor's mom was here, she was just working on her computer. The neighbor's dad was also here. Yeah, it was around lunch, everyone was back here for lunch. Robin was at a meeting because she was trying to secure some kind of wine deal for the restaurant. Someone who makes their wine locally and then she'd get a contract and then they could exclusively sell here, something like that. I don't know. I don't have to run a restaurant. But the museum was open and there were people here. Now usually Caroline is the lady that works in the kitchen and makes sure everything runs smoothly, but she wasn't here that day. She was on leave, so the only other person that was really here that could help was Cornei. And Robin left him here, apparently under instruction to not touch anything. However, while Robin was still at her meeting, new guests arrived. And these people opted to first go do the museum tour, go look at all the artifacts and all that jazz, and then come back and eat something at the cafe. And Cornei was like, oh man, there's no one here manning the kitchen. How are these people going to eat when they come back? So he was trying to be helpful, and he turned on the chip fryer so that it could heat up while the people are doing the museum tour. And then by the time they come back, if they order something like chips, which is something most people order, they could just throw the chips in and cook it really quickly instead of being like, sorry, it's going to be 45 minutes for the fryer to heat up. But what this poor man did not know is that we have long since stopped using the chip fryer. So long ago that I think the last time that thing was on was before lockdown. That's how long ago that thing was used, and that's how long ago that thing was touched, and that's how long ago the oil was last replaced. So when this poor guy went in and turned the chip fryer on high, he did not know that there was a year-old oil in there that had already been heated before and has oxidized, yada 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 yada. Lots of biochemistry happens in oil. And also he's a construction worker, he doesn't really know how chip fryers work. So he kind of just put that thing on blast on its highest setting for it to heat up as quick as possible. And then, thank goodness, but also a dumb thing, he just left the kitchen, leaving it to heat up on its own. Then out of nowhere, the oil in the chip fryer caught on fire. Now this poor guy, he's in someone else's kitchen, he doesn't know how the chip fryer works, he doesn't have any of our numbers, he doesn't know who to reach out to or what to do, but he's got a pretty big fire on his hands. So he grabbed the fire extinguisher. There are two different fire extinguishers on the wall in the kitchen for situations like these. One is a CO2 fire extinguisher that pretty much just smothers the fire by taking away all the oxygen around it. And the other one is a fine powder that it sprays out to kind of cover everything. He grabbed that one, coated the fryer, coated everything with that thing. And then in an attempt to make sure that the fire doesn't spread or catch on the counters or anything like that, he started wetting the kitchen to make sure anything nearby is wet and won't catch on fire as well. Then he called Robin, who then called us to let us know that there's a fire in the museum. She promptly left her meeting and started racing back, but considering we live on farms, if you're anywhere and that's not here, you are far away. We were in the house on the other side of the property and we were far away from the fire. So the neighbor rushed in, he let me know that there's a fire. We all piled into the car and really raced down to the museum. The reason we were so worried is because it's really dry now that it's the winter. And with that, all the greenery around us can catch alight. And a fire like that can be a really dangerous situation. It can spread really fast and it can kind of wipe out everything you have and everyone you know. So we rushed to get there to see what was going on. And when we got there was nothing outside. We didn't know it was in the kitchen. We just knew there was a fire at the museum. So when we got there, it was like, no smoke, no like rings of fire, like, is everything okay, what's going on? which I think made us feel relieved, the fact that the fire was inside and not, outside, which for the first while I really think prevented us from realizing just how serious the situation was, because we were all like, whew, at least it wasn't outside. But we then got to the museum, we walked in, and you could smell it. The second you walked through those doors, you could smell that something had been burning. Now, I walked into this place fully expecting everything to be on fire. So I walked in looking like, where's the fire, what's going on? But then Cornei was out there and he informed us that it was a kitchen fire, and we all just like rushed right to the kitchen to see what's going on. The neighbor's mom reached the kitchen first. And the kitchen has this door that you push open and it closes itself automatically. And she just gave it like a little push, and like this plume of black smoke came out, and she was just like, nope. And she took a step back. And I was like, oh my gosh. And like at this point I already whipped my camera out because I was like, something's going on. And I also pushed the door open so that you can see what's inside. I wanted to see what was going on. And that room was solid black. And in no sense am I being dramatic. It was such a smoky, dark black smoke fire that you really could not see your hand in front of you when you opened that door. We already had our masks on because COVID and all that. And still, just from opening that door that little bit, I was choking on the smoke. And my eyes were also watering. And I was like, okay, I'm taking several steps back. So something was definitely burning. You could also smell it was plastic. There was a clear smell of plastic burning, which makes sense. The like handles for the baskets that you put in the air fryer, they also had plastic on them, and that's also what burned. So we did some quick damage control. The neighbor's dad went outside immediately to go make sure that gas lines are off, because the whole kitchen runs on gas. That's how the stove works, that's how the fryer works, that's how the taps heat up. Everything in there's gas. And if any of those gas pipes are compromised, you can imagine how that would have gone. Because how much gas is outside? Like, how big are those bottles? How much is out there?
The ones that we have here are 20 liters. So I think those are 40 or 50 liter gas bottles, and there's 2 of them connected. So 100 liters of propane.
Luckily, the 100 liters of propane were fine. The pipes weren't compromised, but the neighbor's dad ran out immediately just to turn them off to make sure, even if those pipes did melt or something like that, it wouldn't turn the kitchen into a flamethrower because the gas just keeps coming out. The 2 of us started working on airing out the room because the kitchen doesn't have any type of ventilation there, and it was a solid black wall of smoke in there. And when I mean solid, I mean solid. I tried turning on the kitchen light and the light wouldn't go on, or at least that's what I thought. You literally couldn't see the light in the kitchen through the black smoke. I just figured the electrical was fried. I thought that's why we couldn't turn the lights on. But no, they were turning on. You just couldn't see them. You could barely see the windows through the smoke. But we definitely did have to open the windows because that place did need to start clearing out, and we had to make sure that the fire was actually out because there was definitely still smoke coming from the chip fryer. The neighbor was the one who ran in and opened the windows. I stood there keeping the door open because I didn't want the door to close and then you're stuck in that dark room and you can't breathe and your eyes are tearing up. Because the second you stepped foot into that room, your senses were dead. I didn't want to risk anyone passing out in the kitchen. So the neighbor opened the windows, we propped the door open, and we just let it air out as much as possible. I then went around outside just to see like the smoke coming out. I thought it would look pretty cool to see it like bellowing out, but it didn't look that intense once it was dissipating outside. This is where I ran into the neighbor's dad, and he told us that he turned the gas tanks off. I was closest to the door back into the museum, and then it was the neighbor, and then it was his dad, and we were like talking to each other when Cornei went back inside the kitchen to check what was going on. And when he got closer to the chip fryer, he saw that the fire was still going, and then he yelled out, "Yo, the fire's still burning." And I relayed this message, told everyone it's still going, and then we all ran back in. And the neighbor's dad ran in and grabbed the other fire extinguisher, the CO2 one, and then he sprayed that thing down again, just trying to make sure that thing's dead. Thank goodness the smoke was clearing out pretty quickly because now we could see again and we could actually see where we were walking. It was still pretty tough to breathe, hey? But we could see enough to make sure that the fire was definitely dead now. It was definitely still smoking up a storm. Which honestly, if you've ever cooked with oil and had it go wrong, you know that oil can smoke up a storm, and it also smells absolutely terrible. We had that times 100 basically.
Plus plastic.
Plus plastic, yes. A little silver lining there. But me being the curious person I am and the person filming all of this, I walked in and I wanted to see what it looked like. Everything was a mess. Like I said, the floor was wet to prevent the fire from spreading. There was powder everywhere from the powder extinguisher, and the smoke was still pretty heavy. But like at this point, my mask just reeked of smoke in anyways. There was definitely no getting away from the smell. Even our clothes and our hair, everything was smelling like smoke. And smoke really lingers.
Yeah, and the museum still smells like it.
Yeah, it does. At this point, once everything was settled, everything was done, I spoke to Kornai for a second. Shame, the man was like high on adrenaline. And he was feeling really bad, like it's not his place, he's not even the manager, he's just some random guest here. And he caught the kitchen on fire. So he was feeling really bad and he was still like a little shaky. And I was like, can I get you some water? Dude, like calm down, like no one's mad at you. We're actually really happy you were here to stop the fire instead of it getting out of hand. But like, can you blame the man for being a little shaken up after that? I do think he handled it really well because all of our stuff is on our room in the museum. So if the museum caught fire, like full on kitchen and everything, all of our stuff would have been gone and our entire room, like all our clothes, our bedding. Luckily not our electronics, we had that with us. But our charger, our wallets, our documents, like everything would have been gone. My degree would have been gone. My degree is even in there. So like it would have been a big loss. I'm very glad this guy put the fire out. But just as we were done handling everything and everything was calming down, we were like, okay, we're just waiting for it to clear out properly now. We were getting like 1 or 2 fans to help clear the place out. This is when Robin walked into the room. This is when she finally got back from her meeting. And like she had no words. But honestly, what are you supposed to say? But you can see that she was speeding back, hey? She was also stressed out of her mind about this. So we're all sitting there, smelling like smoke, talking about the what now, what are we gonna do now? Obviously, we're gonna have to throw the chip fryer out. The museum was gonna close down because you can't serve anyone out of the kitchen that's burnt like that. Because the walls and the ceiling, everything was black, and everything in that kitchen that was, even if it was in a cupboard and if it was out of a cupboard, if it was on a shelf or something, full of soot from the fire, like everything had to be rewashed. We had to take all of our food out of the kitchen as well, and all of it was disgusting. Meanwhile, I'm still sitting there full glam, or like half glam, because I pretty much just finished my foundation routine when the video got interrupted. So like full base, highlight, blush, intense brows, no eyeshadow, smelling like a whole lot of smoke, trying to get things wrapped up because we still had class. It was still a normal day. I was getting a quick video in before my next class started, so I got a reminder on my phone that I had a class, and we were like, okay, like, is there anything else we can do, or can we go? Because like, we kind of gotta go. Then we came back, I put my class on loud, and then I started like just stress preparing lunch. I think preparing food is like a way to like calm down after a stressful event, because the same thing happened when the puppies ran away. In December of 2019, we were house sitting and we were looking after 2 Labrador puppies. Also made a whole video on that. And after we did everything we could do, I came home and I started making dinner. Just to be like, let's be productive, I guess. I then also finished filming my video because the glam still looked fine. I definitely had a little bit of black on me here and there from the soot and stuff, like especially on my nose, but that wiped off fine and everything. My eyes were tearing up a storm when we were there, but my glam survived it. Hey, like, routine is tried and tested, that stuff works. And I finished up my video, and then we went to organize our food a little bit more, and we grabbed our stuff, and then we came to stay here because everything still smelled like smoke. There was no way we were going to be able to sleep in that building. For the rest of the day, I felt like dry on the inside, and I felt like I smelled like smoke, but on the inside. Like, I showered, I washed my hair, I changed my clothes and all that stuff, but the smell of smoke was still like in my lungs. My eyes were also stinging for a while after we came back. His lip looks a little bit too pink. What do you think? It's cute though, but not for this look. The kitchen is being repainted. The chip fryer is being cleaned and removed. We're gonna replace it with an air fryer because that's a lot safer. Now we have been spending the rest of the week here. We're gonna stay here until Friday. It happened last week, Thursday. And at the museum, they're currently repacking everything. They took out everything from the cupboards, washed, wiped down everything to get all that soot out. I remembered mascara this time. But yeah, it ended up being not that bad. Luckily, no one was hurt. In the aftermath of all this, Kornai got sent home, but I'm very thankful for all his efforts. Again, he definitely saved all of our stuff from getting destroyed. And shame, the man was just trying to help. Let me get these eyelid lashes on. They're the dramatic ones, number 126, full and bold. But then that is basically the story of what happened with the little kitchen fire there, with the black smoky eye to match the black smoke that we faced that day. I do want to finish this off with like a sparkly inner corner, so I'm going to take my setting spray, spray it into my hand. I'm going to carefully place it up here, in the inner corner, upper lid area, which is actually a lot harder to get into than it seems with nails like these. Gonna get that area wet. And before that dries, I'm gonna go in with cosmetic glitter that I've had since forever. I'm gonna pick it up with my highlighter brush, which means I'm gonna have to, my eyeshadow brush. Pick it up by touching it in there, and then just touch it in there with a stamp. Ay, and on the other side. And then this is the final result. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed this story time as much as I enjoyed filming it and telling you about it. Let me know if you enjoyed this type of video and if you want to see more story times in the future. Also, let me know what other videos you want to see in general. And then I look forward to seeing you again next time. Bye! Oh, shit.
Got some on your dress?
I had a whole bloop of foundation here.
Oh no.
And I don't see it anywhere. Why does that always happen?